Now that you've gone out and won a few battles, or maybe lost some, you've gotten a few C-bills under your belt now. Especially if you're using your trial mechs, you don't have to worry about repairs and reloads. So you should have a little bit built up. At this point, you're probably going to want to build your own mech. To do so, you're going to want to click on the MechLab button up at the top. And here you can see your MechLab screen. At this point, it doesn't look like you can do much, but you'll notice we're still in the Trial Mechs section. We'll want to go over and click on the Owned Mechs button in order to get to our mech bays. At this point, you can see I have a few, but that's because I have a Founder's package. You will probably see empty bays like you see over here on the right. In order to create a new mech, you'll simply click on an empty bay, and you can click on Create New Mech. When you start out, you'll have 4 empty bays to do with as you will. If you need more, you can always come over to the right to the mech bay section and buy them. You can only buy additional mech bays with MechWarrior credits, but as you can see, it's fairly cheap, requiring only 300. Now that we've gone to the Create New Mech section, we can now go through the list of mechs available. At this point, you've probably gotten a feel for each of the weight classes and which ones you want. This one is listed in order of weight class, so you start with the lights, move on to the mediums, the heavies, and then the assaults. You can tell here you've got all the basics at your disposal: the class, light, medium, heavy, or assault, the tonnage that the mech holds, what it will cost you in C-bills, and what it will cost you in MechWarrior credits. As you're clicking through, the big things you're going to want to pay attention to are these areas here. You can see what the current armaments are of the mech, and keep in mind that since you're going to be buying this mech, you can change this at any time. You'll also see the standard equipment that comes with the mech, but the most important part is what's down here, in the hardpoint section. This will tell you exactly what you can put into this mech. So if we go down, for example, to this last atlas here, you'll see that it has 1 ballistic point, so you can only put in 1 type of autocannon. It has 4 energy bays, so you can put in 4 different types of lasers. Doesn't matter what type they are. For example, if you have 4 large lasers, you can put those in, or you can put in 4 small lasers. Just because they have different size requirements doesn't mean they have different hardpoint requirements. You will still have to use the hardpoints that you are given. Each laser takes up 1 hardpoint. Doesn't matter the size. You can also see that I can equip 2 different missile systems, and it does have a slot for 1 anti-missile system. Most mechs will have an AMS, but some, like this Atlas AS7K, have 2. The more anti-missile systems that a mech has, the more missiles it can shoot down at one time. Keep in mind, though, that, of course, like any other weapon system, if you have more than 1, it will burn through more ammo, which means you may have to equip more ammo, more tonnage, in order to maintain the system. So what we're going to do in this tutorial section here is we're going to attempt to buy and create a custom mech variant of our own. And what I think I want to try and do is create something of a missile boat. So I've got this Catapult C4, and what I like about this one is it's got 4 missile bays, so I can have several different variants at my disposal here. It comes equipped with 2 LRM-20s and 2 small lasers. I want to change this up a bit. You'll notice here it's only using half of its missile bays. It has 4. It only has 2 equipped. I can put in multiple missile systems. So if I don't like the 2 LRM-20s, I can start putting in maybe 3 LRM-15s, maybe 4 LRM-10s. 4 LRM-10s you would think is exactly the same as 2 LRM-20s, but the thing is I can stagger fire LRM-10s more than I can stagger fire LRM-20s. LRM-15s are a little more heat efficient as well compared to 20s, especially if I get 3 in there. Now, another thing you'll want to pay attention to before I go into this catapult is as you go along, the thing you might not notice is where all these hardpoints are. So let me go to, for example, let's find the Atlas with several missile bays here. This one has 2. And what you need to really know is where they are. If you look at this Atlas, you can kind of tell at a glance that the 2 missile hardpoints are here in the left torso. One's here, ones here. You can even look at by the way they have it mounted. It says an LRM-20. That's more than likely this one here. The LRM-6 is this small one here at the side. So the problem with the mech-based system right now is that it's not easy at a glance to tell exactly where everything is on the mech. It doesn't tell you what locations they're in. For example, this mech has an anti-missile system, but I don't see where that anti-missile system is. I have to kind of guess based on the armaments it's holding. For example, let's look at this one. It has an AC-20, which is more than likely right here. It has a medium laser, 2 medium lasers, which are more than likely in the arms here, as judged by this artwork here. An LRM-20, which is here. SRM-6, which is here. It has another missile slot. It has a third, which is more than likely here in the center torso based on this bay here. This is important. I would highly recommend going to the MechWarrior Online forums and reading there, as there are several guides there that could help you. One guide in particular comes from Ohmwrecker, or the Masked Gamer. He has amassed quite a bit of information out there that shows hardpoints as well as information on the weapons. As what I'll be going through here is a general overview. It's going to be very difficult to create a video that shows all the different weapons and what they do, such as heat values, weapon damage, and things like that. My scope of my video here is mainly to show you how to create it. You're really going to have to go out, though, and find the resources in order to tell what these weapon systems will do for you, as honestly, it would take far too long to do that in any video. So let's go back to the catapult that I wanted to create, the Catapult C4. I can now choose to buy it either with my MechWarrior credits or my C-Bells. As you can see, I have about 7 million here. I might not have enough C-Bells to fully create a build here, so I'll have to rely on some of my credits. So let's go in here. I want to buy this catapult. I can rename it if I want to. There we go. Missile Boat. He has a new name. And there he is. So now I can select this mech, of course, to put him into my home screen. See, there he is, my missile boat. I can sell it, and if I sell it, I can sell the mech by itself or all the items on it. You can see that it will affect the price, so I can keep the items if I do not check this box. So we're not going to do that. So once you've selected your mech, all you have to do is go to the top now to start changing up its loadout. So I'm going to go into the loadout section now. And what I want to do is start stripping it of everything it currently has. In order to do that, I can click on the mech itself on any section. So here, there is the right torso. I can click there, or sorry, that's the right arm. On a catapult, this is the actual arm. This section here is the torso, and then here's the center torso. So I can click on each segment, but if I'm having a hard time clicking on the segment or I'm not sure which one I want, I can come down here to the lower left. This is the component section. I can actually click here and go to the back segments if I want. Of course, there's no point in doing that other than to repair it, as you can see here on the right. So I can click on any segment I want here in the lower left and go to that point instantly. You can also, here at the repair and rearm section, tell the game whether or not you want the system to repair and rearm your mech after every battle. Why wouldn't you want to do that, you might ask? Well, if you're light on C-Bills and you're using higher end equipment and higher tech, such as ferrofibrous armor, you might not want to have it turned on because it could get quite costly. This is why you want to have multiple mechs at your disposal and why you might want to use your trial mechs. As it is right now, it can be very expensive to use high-end tech, sometimes even costing you money even if you win a battle based on how much damage you take. To counteract this, you'll probably want to use trial mechs in order to increase your C-Bills. So it's going to be up to you whether you want to increase your mech's survivability and make it an uber mech and use that in order to win victories every now and then, or if you want to make it somewhat cost efficient. This may change as the beta goes along, so keep an eye on the forums for any changes that they might make. Up here is your basic loadout. This is the mech info. You can see that what I've called my mech and what the original mech designation is, as well as what your speed is. You get a readout of your tonnage. This shows you what your maximum tonnage is and what your current tonnage is. That's what you're going to have to keep an eye on. As you add systems, you will of course increase the weight of the mech. You get a general idea of what your firepower and heat efficiency are. Now the downside here is that heat efficiency is assuming that you're using an alpha strike or firing all your weapons at once. So you'll have to be careful about that. If you're designing a mech to have very specific firing groups, even if it doesn't appear like you're heat efficient, you might actually be. And of course here is the armor. You have to remember that armor takes tonnage, so this mech is maxed out in tonnage, but it's not maxed out in armor. In order to do that, I would have to start removing weapons or other valuable systems. So now that we're here, we're going to want to start removing things. So let's go into the arms, find out what we've got. I've got an LRM-20. I want to remove this. So if I click on it, what I can do is I can sell it if I want for additional C-bills. I don't think I really want the LRM-20s. So I could get a bit more money. But if I wanted to keep them for another mech, what I can do is click and drag the LRM-20 over here to the inventory side. Once I do that, it removes it from the mech, but I did not lose it. To show you that, I'm going to go here into the configure weapons, and just so you can see, there are weapons, ammo, equipment such as heat sinks, and the far right is armor. Going back to weapons, you can see that in the LRM-20 section here, not only does it tell me that it's a missile system, it takes up 5 critical slots, weighs 10 tons, and what it costs, but there's now a triangle here. If I click on that triangle, you'll notice a drop-down. This shows me all the items that I currently own. Right now I have 1. Let's go to the other arm, remove that LRM-20, and now you can see there are 2 down here. So I can take these 2 if I want, and slide it back, and there now it's re-equipped. I can actually put both LRM-20s in this arm. As you can see, it has 2 missile hardpoints. This is how you're going to configure your mech. You have to go to each point and find out where these hardpoints are. If I go to the other arm, you can see I'm using 0 out of 2. Unfortunately, there's no way at a glance to see where these hardpoints are. You're going to have to go through each segment. Hopefully this will change in future builds. Let's go into here. We can see that our anti-missile system is actually based in the right torso. The left torso has no hardpoints that we can use. The center torso has 2 energy hardpoints, and the legs have none. Let's go back to the arm and remove our LRM-20s. I'm also going to go into the center and remove my small lasers for now. Now what you can see is I have a standard engine 260. If I click on that, this equipment screen changes. As a matter of fact, let's go to each section here and you can see how the equipment changes. For the arms, you can only put in heat sinks. For the torso, you can put in jump jets, heat sinks, and case. I'll go over these real quick. Jump jets, of course, let you use the jump thrusts. In the current builds, having more jump jets is simply redundant. They do not increase your jump capacity, so you can keep adding them and nothing will really change. The only difference is that if one gets destroyed, you'll have extras to fall back on. So at this point, what you may want to do is go ahead and take some of these jump jets and just kind of sell them. Now keep in mind this may change in the future, as tabletop rules suggested that if you had more jump jets, you could jump further. So hopefully we'll see that happen in a future build. For now, I'm simply going to sell some of my jump jets in order to get a little bit of money and to save a little bit of space. Now let's go back into the engines. Let's see what else there are. There are jump jets for every slot that is not an arm. But the other thing we have here is case. What a case is, it is a weapons ammunition storage type device. If you have ammunition in a particular part of your mech, and that part of the mech gets destroyed, then the ammunition that exists inside of your mech is going to blow up. And if it blows up, it's going to do damage to every adjacent unit. So if I lose this torso, it's going to do damage to my center torso, which is very bad. Center torso means death. So if I don't want my center torso to be destroyed by either this section getting destroyed or the other option is heat. High heat buildup, at least in tabletop, and may happen in this game eventually, could cause ammo to cook off and be destroyed. Critical hits, even though the torso doesn't get destroyed, can also destroy the ammo and cause ammo explosions. So if you're running around with a lot of ammo, you may want to consider case, which we're probably going to consider for this mech. So let's see what we can create. I'm going to go and I am going to try and grab a few LRMs. Now, let's take a look at, say we have the 20 here and the 15. I was talking about the 15 being more efficient. The 15 is fairly heat efficient compared to the 20. You can see that the 15 actually requires quite a few less slots It fires 5 less missiles at a time, but it can carry the same amount of ammo, roughly. But this takes 5 slots. The 15 only takes 3. If I slide it over, you'll see there's only 3 slots required. I'm not going to buy it just yet. It also requires 3 less tons. So what I'm going to do is, let's see, I can probably put about 4 of these on the mech, but let's take a look at the 10. This only takes 2 slots and has 5 tons. So I could put 4 20s to get a constant barrage, but can I do it with 4 15s? We'll take a look at that. So since we're going to experiment, we're going to go ahead and sell these 20s. Now let's get the 15s and put a few in. Once I slide it over, you'll notice I don't currently own the item. I need to buy it. Do I wish to continue? Well, I can click OK. And that's going to buy it with C-bills. So there's another big thing here that you need to remember. You can't buy equipment with MechWarrior credits. This is all C-bills. So I'm going to have to be very careful about what I'm doing here. So I'm going to do 2 of these. Then I'm going to go to the other arm. 115. And it's too heavy to do the 4th. So I need to save space. Let's try and get a bit more space by using new technology. So I'm going to hit the Save Mech. This is going to purchase all my items. I'm going to hit OK. There we go. So now I'm going to go into upgrades. I want to go into structure, and we're going to choose to go into the Indo Steel. It's going to take up valuable slots. I'm going to lose 14 slots, but I don't really need that many for what I'm building right now. But it's going to reduce the weight of the mech by about 5%. So I'm going to hit that, and hit save. OK. Now if you run into a problem like this, where you've got the mech selected and you can't do anything else, you may have to select a different mech and go back. You can see now everything's available. Alright, so now that we've done that to save a little bit of tonnage, we've got a little bit of room now that we might be able to put in our weapons. So let's go ahead and take a look here. We go to the LRM-15, and it looks like we're still a little bit too heavy. So what I could do is go into the 10s. Problem is, as you can see, I've run out of C-bills at this point. Building a mech is going to require quite a bit of money, so you're going to want to keep an eye on that. So in order to move this along, what I'm going to do is show you what you want to keep in mind in this instance. I have LRM-15s now. I have 3. This is actually fairly good. 3 LRM-15s is, I think, a little bit better than the 220s I was originally using. But I already got rid of the lasers that I originally had. So what I can do at this point, if I want to save even more tonnage or maybe get a little few C-bills back, I can sell off my engine and get a smaller engine. Now, what do engines do for you? Well, higher levels of engine give you more heat sinks. Again, you'll want to look this up on the forums on what exact values there are. But you can have internal heat sinks inside of an engine besides the heat sinks that you can put on different parts of your mech. The engine is also directly related to your speed. Currently, this mech can move at 64.8 kph. If I put in a different engine, let's degrade it from a 260, shall we? What does a 260 take? Well, 6 slots, 19.5 tons. I can either do a standard or an XL. And I'll tell you what the difference between these two is real quick here. The difference is that XL engines take twice the slots of a standard engine. You might be thinking, oh, how would that fit? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 8 slots here with the gyro in the way. Well, XL engines don't all go in the center torso. It takes 3 critical slots in each of the side torsos. So it still takes the 6 here in the center, but then it will take 3 in the left and right torsos. Now, this is the downside. If you decide to go with an XL engine, if you lose any one of your torsos, you will completely lose your mech. So this is something you want to keep in mind. Even if you have case ammo, Once that torso goes, your entire mech has fried. Before I worry about changing out the engine, though, here's the thing you really have to keep in mind for using ballistic weaponry. I have LRM ammo. This is important. If I put in these missile systems and did not include any ammo, I would be useless on the field. Weapon systems, such as the LRM-15, do not come with any ammo internally. These 3 slots, none of that is ammo. There is no ammo preloaded. You have to make sure you buy some. Now the good news is, this mech was already loaded with about 4 tons of LRM ammo. I might want a little bit more because I have no lasers now, and I want to make sure that my mech can constantly fire on the field. That's where I want to go to this ammo section here. I can actually put this ammo anywhere I want, really. I could put it in a leg if I really wanted to. A little awkward, but you can. But the game doesn't differentiate between different types. LRM ammo is LRM ammo is LRM ammo. So if I have 2 tons of LRM ammo, that will work with an LRM-20, an LRM-15, a 10, or a 5. So no matter how many times I change out my LRM racks, the ammo that exists in this mech already will work for either of those. The difference, though, is that you have to have different ammos for LRMs, SRMs, and even the Streak SRMs have different ammo types compared to the regular SRM. This is due to the Streak having an inherent lock-on feature to the regular SRMs, so they are technically different bullets. You even have to buy ammo for your NARC, your Ultra ACs, your GAUs, basically anything you can think of here. Now the difference, of course, is in the ACs. You'll notice that the AC2 has different ammo to the AC5 to the AC10. LRMs are very nice in the fact that it doesn't matter which type you have. You can just buy one type of ammo. Same thing with the SRMs, one type of ammo. So keep that in mind if you're considering going into ACs, especially if you're thinking about doing more than one type of AC. If you want an AC2 and an AC5, then you're going to have to carry 2 different types of ammo. So it's really not recommended to do so, although you really could. Also keep in mind that you need to buy AMS ammo. So if you're being hit by bullets a lot, keep in mind, buy some more of this. You might need it. What I'm going to do at this point, because this is a pure gunboat and I've already taken out my lasers, I'm going to go and buy 1 more ton of LRM ammo for each torso. There. I now have 6 tons of LRM ammo, so I should be able to fire very frequently on the battlefield. At this point, since I am in the distance, unfortunately I can't buy the anti-missile system though, as I was thinking about doing here. It requires a bit more C-bills than I have. I'm down to 159, so I'm going to have to play a few battles. So you may have to do that as you're deciding to make a mech. You might want to decide, okay, let's buy the body, and then you'll start building up more C-bills to customize it. It's almost like buying a new PC. Sometimes you can't just buy the whole thing at once. You have to buy the case, or in this case the chassis, then worry about buying the CPU, or in this case an engine, and then everything else you'll just start building upon what you've got. So you might not be able to get exactly what you want right away, but you can piecemeal it together and use it. You can decide to use this mech now if I wanted to, or you could just go into battle with other mechs and start getting your C-bills up. So keep in mind, even if you spend real money on this game, at this point you have no way of buying equipment outside of C-bills, so you're still going to have to play. This removes the whole pay-to-win mentality. While you can buy a mech, you're going to have to play the game to buy the weapons. This may change in the future, but at the current point they don't seem to be doing that. They haven't made any mention of that. Once you're done with everything, you simply hit the Save Mech button, hit OK, and everything's good to go. This mech should actually be good to launch. Alright, here we are. We are in our newly made catapult, our missile boat. Let's just go ahead and test our features. We've got jump jets. Yes, we do. So let's get to higher ground. Now, of course, in the lower right, you'll notice that the groups all default to 1. That's fine since I have 3 LRM-15s, but I'm going to put it in the chain fire mode. You can also see that I have 1,080 rounds So now let's go ahead and try and get a little fire out there. So I'm going to fire 1, 2, 3. Look at that. They're not hitting, of course. 1, 2, 3, and then I just hold it down, and from here I'm raining missiles down onto that poor Jinner in the distance. Oh, there we go. Quite a bit of firing I could do. So in the future, what I might want to do is add more heat sinks, especially if I'm considering adding a 4th LRM. Now the truth of the matter is I'm able to stagger this fire pretty good. So even though I bought a mech with the intent of putting 4 LRMs into it, I may not want to do that now. I may want to, at this point, simply put more heat sinks, maybe a few lasers for if things get into short range. So this is the whole thing about customizing a mech. Just because you have something in mind to begin with, doesn't mean that that's the plan you're going to stick with. As you play with your mech, you might realize, hey, I like the way this is going, or I don't like the way this is going, I want to change it. So you can start taking pieces in and out of your mech. Well, that's been the module on using the MechLab. Hopefully you found it useful. If you have any questions regarding the MechLab, please leave them in the comments section below. You can also email theshadowpost@gmail.com. As this video may not have encompassed everything that you needed to know, or you might still have questions on other features, I'll be more than happy to help out. Keep in mind we will be going through a character wipe here when the game opens up to the public, so I might have to take a little time to rebuild my resources before I can make another video should you guys need it. One last thing before I conclude this tutorial. I want to show you what happens when you turn off the auto repair and ammo feature in the MechLab. As you can see here, I went out, I took a little bit of damage, and I actually used up all my ammo. I'm surprised it says 75%. Let's go to the MechLab, and we can select our little missile boat here. And you can see we actually have the repair all option. Now, I just made about 200,000 C-bills with a premium bonus. Let's see what it's going to cost me. Not too bad, about 83. So I'm going to be spending about half of my earnings repairing this. So I've got ferrofibrous, I've got endosteel, I've got a few high-end techs in here. I want to be putting in more, so this is going to end up costing me a bit more as I build it up, but it's still a little bit profitable. I can now at this point choose to not restock my ammo, which would be of course bad since that's all I have. But I could choose not to repair items, not to restore the armor or the structure. Of course I want everything back because I want this mech back in working condition. So I'll just hit OK, and there you have it. Everything's back up to full. My mech is now ready to go back into action again. Well, thanks again for watching, everybody. This has been the MechLab tutorial.